Good morning. So welcome to another reading vlog. Last week I spent the whole week being sick, so this week I'm hoping will be a much better week, although I just walked to the library and back and it kind of killed me, so I guess I'm still a little bit sick. But anyway, I did get a couple of books out from the library. The first one is Frost Heart by Jamie Littler. I had actually requested this for the Believeathon and obviously I completely missed it, so I'm not sure when I'll actually get to this because it's not as urgent anymore. But urgent, what does that even mean? But anyway, I am still excited to read it, and it's got all this illustration all the way through it, so I'll be reading that at some point. The other book that I got from the library I'm kind of excited about for a lot of reasons, but one thing I wanted to note is that last week on Twitter I was talking about how I went to the bookstore and I noticed that like all the books, or at least all the fiction books, were paperbacks, and like I know most people talk about hardbacks coming out first and then like a year later the paperbacks come out, but that doesn't seem to be the case in New Zealand, and I think it's probably just because hardcovers are so expensive that nobody wants to buy them here. So I just got this book that's like a new release that I've requested from the library, and it's a paperback, and who even knew that there were paperbacks of Call Down the Hawk already? I haven't seen anybody who's been talking about this book with a paperback edition, so that's kind of weird and exciting. Also, I'm really excited to read this book, but it is making it a bit difficult to decide what I'm doing for my reading this week because I really want to read this. Also, last week from the library I got Ascender, which I also want to read, although that's a short graphic novel, so I'll probably be able to fit that in. I also have started reading Alcatraz versus the Evil Librarians. This is due back at the library in like 3 days, so I should probably finish this one first, but honestly it's a middle grade, so it'll be a really quick read. I read the first chapter, it's quite funny, and so I think I'll get through it really quickly and I'm going to really enjoy it. So I guess I'll finish off reading that before I decide what I'm reading next. But then I also have this book that I'm giving to my mum for Christmas, and I want to finish off like wrapping my presents so I can consider that done and not have to stress about Christmas presents anymore. So I kind of should read this next after Alcatraz. But then also I have the Afterlife of Holly Chase, which is the Patreon group book for Rachel Marie's book journey, and I really want to read this as well. And also the Magical Readathon, Winter Readathon, Christmas Readathon. What even is that readathon called? Anyway, the Save Ginny Readathon, she's got this amazing website, and each week you find out new reading prompts depending on what options you choose. So for that I need to read an urban fantasy and a book that's being read with a group. So really, based on that, I want to read these books, and these are the books that I'm probably the most excited about. So I want to read these, but I also want to read this, and I've also got to read this, and I'm going to read this. But this does not seem like a reasonable amount of reading for a single week, so I don't think it's going to happen. But I guess we will work that out as the week progresses. So as I said, welcome to another reading vlog. Let's see how this week works out. Oh wait, before I go, I just remembered 2 other things that I noticed at the library that I wanted to mention to you. So firstly, I noticed that my library has added Moaning Myrtle into their bathroom, which I thought was cool. And also, in my Call Down the Hawk, I had this little like secret book club card, and I don't know what it's for. It says like secret book club review and then secret book club recommendations. So I kind of want to fill this out, but then I'm not really sure what I'm supposed to do with it. I suspect like they have this shelf where everyone can pick up their requests, and I suspect I could just put it into somebody else's book and then they would get my reviews and my recommendations. I don't know. Secret book club though. Sounds cool, right? Like if you could be in a secret book club, wouldn't you want to be in a secret book club? So I'm going to try and figure out how the secret book club works because I want to be in a secret book club. Hi, good morning. So it's Wednesday morning now. To be honest, my attempt at coming back to life after being sick last week is taking a bit longer than I hoped. I still kind of feel like shit. Also, you'll notice that my hair color has changed somewhat, and to be honest, I hate it. So that's something else that I'm dealing with. But let's not make this too negative. we'll focus on the positives. It's not as bad as I thought it would be in the first place. It's just not what I was hoping for. Anyway, new hair, still kind of sick, but I have been getting lots of reading done because I am still feeling like crap. But I'm like just that perfect level where you can read a lot. So that's good. So firstly, I've been listening to the audiobook of Daisy Jones and the Six, which I think I forgot to even mention in my intro. And I have to say, like, the audiobook is amazing, the acting is amazing, the characters are really well developed, they feel like real people, but for the most part, nothing really happens. And I guess, like, as someone who knows a lot of musicians and people in the music industry, like them telling their stories about writing songs and being in the studio, it's just like stuff that people I know might talk about. So it's just like, wow, why am I just listening to these randoms talk about stuff? It wasn't interesting at all to me. I mean, as I said, the characters felt like real people, so it definitely isn't a terrible book. But I was waiting the whole time for some kind of twist or something exciting to happen, and there is kind of a reveal at the end, but it's, who even cares? I kept predicting that more exciting things were going to happen, and none of the things I predicted happened. So then I was just kind of disappointed. That said, I can totally see why people love this book. I probably will still give it a good rating, just not amazing for me personally. I do think there are some really great lines in it, and I wish actually that I hadn't been listening to the audiobook so I could have marked them up. Some really good quotes, and I think if I had read it around the time when I was first getting into being like a rock musician when I was in my late teens, early 20s, some of those quotes would have just hit so hard for me. You know, they would have really changed the way that I think about things, but as I'm older, I've already kind of learned some of those lessons, so it wasn't as life-changing for me as I think it could have been if I'd read it as when I was younger. So, although I was still very into fantasy when I was younger, so I still might have found it boring. Also, I did read Alcatraz and the Evil Librarians by Brandon Sanderson. I found this really funny and clever. I mean, it's Brandon Sanderson, so I would have expected it to be clever, but also really funny. I will say though, I think if I was going to be giving this to children, I would be quite selective of which children I gave it to, because I think some of the jokes are subtle and some of them are a little bit, I think some children might take this the wrong way. But still, I really enjoyed it, and if you like middle grade and you like funny things, then I would definitely recommend this, and I'm looking forward to reading the rest of the series because it didn't take me long to read this book. I don't even know, have I talked about what this is about? I don't think I did, because I don't think I even knew what it was about. I didn't talk about what Daisy Jones and the Six is about either, but you guys all know, right? It's like about this rock band in the 60s and 70s becoming famous, and this girl named Daisy Jones who joins their band, and drugs, sex, rock and roll, all that stuff. This one is about this guy named Alcatraz who is an orphan, and then on his 13th birthday he gets a letter from his parents and discovers that in fact everything we know in this world is a lie. The librarians have been lying to us, and so many things are not what we think. And he goes on an adventure with these people from kind of other kingdoms that we don't know about because the librarians have lied to us and not told us about them. It's fun. It's a lot of fun. Also yesterday I did get a package. Who gets packages with books in them? Not me normally, but I got this book. It's actually really low quality book, and so this is like a book that they gave out at the end of the women's mentoring program that I did at the university this year, and I missed the final session because of the fire in town, but they sent out, to all of us who missed it, they sent it out. It is a low quality, like the actual book feels very low quality, but you know, they would have been giving out a whole bunch of them to a bunch of different people, so I don't blame them for going for like some kind of cheap quality book. But it's by Sheryl Sandberg and Adam Grant. Option B, Facing Adversity, Building Resilience and Finding Joy. I don't know, might be interesting. I do definitely want to find ways of being more resilient. I'm not too bad, but I think everyone could always do with more resilience, right? Because shit happens and you need to be able to deal with it. So I'm not sure when I'll read this, but I definitely think I will read it. I should really look up Goodreads reviews. If you read this, is it any good? Should I read it? I'll probably read it. I mean, I got it for free, right? Anyway, I've been blabbering for far too long and I want to go again and attempt to be alive and human today, so we'll see how that goes. Oh, I don't have my other book here, but I did start reading Sharpest last night. I think I just read like 1 or 2 chapters and it's really good. It got me back into the world straight away. I remembered how much I love the characters. As always, fast-paced. I know I'm gonna love it. And then audiobook-wise, I realized, I know I said I was going to go, but I realized that the audiobooks that I thought I had, so I'd already had this problem with Defy Me where I thought it was the audiobook and then it was actually an ebook, and I've got it sitting there like, I don't know if I even want to read this. I kind of feel like I might take some ebooks away when we go camping over Christmas, just because the lighting situation in the car isn't necessarily that great for reading physical books. So then ebooks might be good in that situation, and like taking books, but I'll probably want to take books camping. I don't know. Anyway, I might be tempted to read ebooks while we're away, but I doubt it. But maybe I'll take some just in case. So that's what happened to me with Defy Me. And then it happened again. I need to pay more attention. So Aurora Rising, I thought I had the audiobook, but no, it's the ebook. So I'll keep that again, and maybe I'll read it when I'm camping. Although, actually, it's returning itself in 10 days, and that's going to be just before we start going away. So probably I should return it so some other people can read it. So then I actually have finally gotten through my massive queue of audiobooks, so I'll probably accidentally add lots more on. But for now, I've picked up Royal Assassin by Robin Hobb, which is the second book in the Farseer trilogy, which I just started rereading. So I'm really enjoying that. Again, I love the characters, I love the world. It's nice to be back there and just have something nice and relaxing while I'm doing housework stuff and attempting to be alive. Anyway, that was way too long, so sorry. So who knows what's going to happen with this vlog, but I'm going to go and I will catch you later. Hi, so I've been hiding the last couple of days because my face decided to have some kind of allergic reaction, and I don't really know. I think it might have been kind of brewing for a little while because the cream that I suspect is the culprit, I had been using it a little bit for a little while. Anyway, that probably wasn't helping with the fact that I was sick and trying to be human again. It's hard to be human when you're having an allergic reaction on your face. Anyway, for now I've covered it up with makeup so I look somewhat normal, and I was still able to go out with Jace on Thursday and Friday and enjoy the good weather, which is good because the good weather is now finished, so that's annoying. Yesterday I didn't really do anything because of my face, and just I'm still kind of sick, which is really annoying, and I'd like it to be over now, so I'm pushing forward towards humanness still. But I did manage to finish Sharpest, and I realized I'll count this as the urban fantasy for the Magical Readathon winter Christmas thing. I really need to find out what the name of this readathon is so that I can refer to it properly. But anyway, I read this as expected, it was very formulaic. There's a bit at the beginning where the bad guy gives this big monologue kind of setting up the plot. There's also this thing it does regularly in these books where near the beginning she has this dream and remembers something from her traumatic past. And as soon as the first dream happened, I knew that there would be 3 parts to this memory, because that's what always happens. And that each part would kind of like push the next part of the plot forward. But still, even though I have all these criticisms about what happened in this, I still just really enjoyed the reading experience. I still just found it really fun. If you like books that talk about food, there was a part in here where she did a 2-page explanation of the food that she was making for her family. So there's that. I don't know, I just really enjoy these books, and so I will be continuing forever, probably. This series, it does kind of try to keep building up in intensity, and I think it is getting to the point where it kind of has to come to an end soon. So I don't know, I kind of think 20 books might be where this series ends. This was 17, 18, one of those. Anyway, so that's done, which means that after this I'm gonna try and wrap up all my Christmas presents, which will be nice to have that done. I'm also gonna read Ascender, which shouldn't take me that long, and I read the first chapter so far of The Afterlife of Holly Chase. Not enough yet to decide what I think about it, but I will keep reading that. I do want to try and finish that today, but I also, I'm having an argument with myself about whether I feel up to filming some videos, because I realized that ideally I would put together like 7 videos this week to prepare myself for like the Christmas period, and that seems like a lot. So if that's what I want to do, then I probably should get started, but I haven't decided if that's actually what I want to do. Anyway, we'll see what happens. I'm gonna go and do some Christmas present wrapping and some reading, and then we'll see what else happens today. So good morning. Last night I did do some reading. I finished off Ascender, and as expected, I loved this, and it made me cry at the end. And the worst part about this is that when I read Descender, which is like the prequel series to this, when I read that, I read it once it was all released, so I could just kind of binge read it. Whereas this, now I'm gonna have to wait for the next volume to come out, and I'm super sad about that because the direction this is going is amazing, and I can't wait to read more of this. If you like Descender, you will definitely like this. If you haven't read Descender, then you should, because it's one of my favorite books of 2019. Also, I managed to read about 100 pages of The Afterlife of Holly Chase. I am enjoying it, but it is a bit slow, so I'm hoping more will happen in the next 200 or so pages. But I guess I haven't finished that, so I will have to finish it this week. It's now the next week as I'm finishing this up. So also, you would have seen I wrapped up all my Christmas presents, and one of the things that I have been doing for my mum is every birthday and Christmas, I've been taking a bunch of the old family videos that I ripped off VHS and putting them onto DVD for her. And I keep wondering, like, why don't I just do the whole lot and give her the whole lot? And I do like one batch of 8 DVDs, which I'm like wrapping up in a single case, and then I remember it's a pain in the ass to do, and that's why I only ever give her one at a time. But as with previous times, I did find some more footage of me reading back in the 90s, so I'm going to include that at the end of this vlog. You can enjoy that. Also, with the Christmas presents, you might have noticed that the names weren't very sensible. My family has this tradition where instead of putting names on presents, we put clues, and then on Christmas Day you have to work out who the clues are referring to. And I think my clues are normally pretty easy, but my mum's clues are sometimes very difficult to work out, which is a lot of fun. Anyway, I didn't read everything I was hoping to read this week, but I still did read quite a lot. Despite kind of feeling awful most of the week, I think it was still an okay week considering the sickness. So once again, thank you for hanging out with me this week. I hope you had a good week, and I will see you again next time.
My brother likes to slide. A spoon. They must be very tiny then. A spoon. That's a little spoon.
A spoon is
And that's a cone.
a cone.